Hey folks, welcome to verifiedinvesting.com. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. Now in today's video, we need to deep dive into the DXY because there are very troubling signals here that could show that if we break the key level I'm going to show you, we could be in free fall on the US dollar against other major currencies. And this again is something that every investor must be aware of because it does have major repercussions among investments, among the US markets, and beyond. All right, so we're going to start out where we break down the near-term chart, and then we're going to show you something that really, again, like I said, will get your attention. All right, let's take a look at the chart of the DXY. As we jump into it here and we take a look, we can see that the dollar continues to do almost nothing, right? And that's really misleading when you start delving into the chart, and I'm going to show you why. So the dollar since basically July 1st has just been going sideways. But the first thing we have to take note of is that this sideways action is coming after a long move to the downside. And what we know is patterns like this are known as bearish consolidation or bear flags. Remember, a bear flag is a drop and then sideways consolidation, and it usually ends with further downside. So that's the first thing that we have to pay attention to. So even though the dollar is behaving relatively mildly recently, we have to understand that the pattern is a bearish pattern. And again, by name, it tells us that the odds favor a move to the downside. The next thing we have to take a look at here, guys, and this is a big deal as well, is that the dollar on this one bounce here was actually retesting a scene of the crime. And this is absolutely mind-blowing, right? Because if we look at this area here. So you can see going back to 2023, maybe even back further, but at minimum 2023, we were hammering here on this as support over and over and over again. And then what happened? We broke, we retraced, we broke, and we retraced. And notice how this zone is now becoming major resistance. So now we have an additional factor to bring into the mix. Not only were we making a bear flag on the US dollar, but we've broken a trend line of support that goes back to February of 2023. We're talking about a trend line that basically has lasted for 2.5 years until it broke recently earlier this year. And that is major because now not only does it cap the dollar here from going up, right? It's going to make it so it's very hard for the dollar to go up, but it also tells us that the trend of holding here has now been broken. And the path of least resistance, do we think the path of least resistance is this way, or do we think it's this way? And the answer is it's undoubtedly to the downside, right? So it's undoubtedly down to the downside down here. All right, so that's another major thing that we have to pay attention to. Then comes the mega thing, the mega factor that I want you guys to be aware of here, guys. So listen, the dollar is in weak position, but at least it's holding this long-term trend line that I'm about to show you. Now, the reason I'm a little nervous is because if the near-term bearish pattern, the bear flag, and the fact that we broke down and the path of least resistance is down, if that does end up causing the DXY to break lower and we break this trend line, the dollar could go into a faster decline, potentially a free fall. So let's dive back into the chart and take a look. Where is that coming from? Take a look right here, guys. Longer term from the 2014 lows down here. It actually goes even back further, but we'll do it from here. And we drag this up. Look at this. So this, my friends, is a long-term trend line. I'm going to go to the weekly here because we can see, wow, it even goes back further. Oh my gosh. It even goes back further. Holy cow. Look, it goes all the way back here to 2000 and basically 2008, the beginning of the financial crisis. Okay? So, what do you guys think would happen if this trend line that has held up since the financial crisis were to all of a sudden break to the downside? Would it just be like a no big event? or would we start to see potentially a faster decline on the US dollar? I would dare say that in the very least, we would go here very quickly to about 89 on the DXY, potentially with a secondary target down to about 84. And that has huge ramifications for interest rates, for what the de-dollarization could be going on. It's a positive ultimately for Bitcoin as well as gold in the longer term. All of these have major influences with the dollar action. So if we zoom back in, we have our bear flag. We broke below the longer term 2-year, 2.5-year support line, now acting as resistance. So again, that's favoring the downside. Now, the one saving grace is we're holding this longer trend line that goes all the way back to 2008, which, by the way, was the beginning of Fed intervention via quantitative easing. And ultimately, what we know is if this breaks, guys, if we break here, watch out below. The downside could be fast and furious. All right. So again, this is a level to give you guys the price point on this. This is around 96.80 or so, 97 on the DXY. We're currently trading at 97.62. So we're really less than $1 away from this as a major, major level. If this breaks, I hate to say it, but I would guess we are in a lot of trouble in the US here. Now, the rest of the globe, if the dollar's declining against those currencies, maybe those are the safe haven places to start to rotate. Watch this, folks. This got my attention today. I hope I've been able to kind of, get you guys to kind of sit up and take note as well. This is something that I'll be checking in on a regular basis every single week on the DXY chart. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Again, my job here is all charts, no BS. What are the charts saying? What are the key levels? And alerting you guys to things that you're probably not hearing in the mainstream media or on social media. That's what verified investing's job is all about. Getting you guys the facts, not the nonsense. The keys to trading and investing. Have a good one, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.